In the quiet college town of Moscow, Idaho, a tragedy unfolded in November 2022 that would shock the nation and haunt a community for years. 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, lost their lives in a violent attack that revealed the darkest corners of human behavior. Among the details now emerging, one stands out with chilling clarity. Newly unsealed court filings suggest that the murderer, Bryan Kohberger, may have posed 2 of his victims in a deeply disturbing arrangement after their deaths. Today, we are diving into the details of this case, exploring the evidence, and understanding the sequence of events that led to the conviction of Kohberger, who now serves 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole. The victims, Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen, were both young women in their early 20s, vibrant, ambitious, and full of life. On that fateful night, their lives were brutally cut short. According to newly unsealed filings, evidence indicates that after being fatally stabbed, the 2 women may have been deliberately posed together in Madison Mogen's bed. This horrifying detail comes from crime scene analysis and expert testimony from Dr. Brent Turvey, a renowned crime scene investigator who reviewed the autopsy reports. Dr. Turvey's theory suggests that Kaylee was moved from her original position to lie partially atop Madison, with the comforter then placed over them both. The suggestion of posed bodies adds a macabre layer to an already tragic story. Prosecutors, while acknowledging the possibility, stated that it could not be definitively determined, noting that blood patterns might have resulted from other factors. But the expert analysis points to the deliberate actions of the perpetrator after the initial act of murder, highlighting a level of premeditation and a disturbing focus on control even after death. Kohberger's attack on Goncalves and Mogen was extreme in its brutality. According to autopsy reports, Kaylee Goncalves suffered at least 38 stab wounds, while Madison Mogen endured 28, many concentrated on the scalp, face, and neck. The intensity of these injuries indicates a sustained, personal attack rather than a sudden or impulsive act. Additionally, Goncalves suffered blunt force injuries to the head and asphyxial injuries, underscoring the violence of the assault. The forensic evidence paints a picture of the victims being attacked while in a vulnerable state. Neither woman had blood on the soles of their feet, suggesting that they were not standing or moving at the time of the assault. This aligns with reports indicating that both women were asleep or otherwise incapacitated when the attack began, making any defensive action impossible. The broader context of the crime is equally disturbing. Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were also victims of Kohberger's deadly spree that night. Chapin, a freshman from Mount Vernon, Washington, was found in Kernodle's room, while Kernodle herself had attempted to resist the attack, resulting in significant abrasions and contusions along with multiple stab and incised wounds. While Kernodle struggled, the other 3 victims were attacked in their sleep, leaving them entirely defenseless. This case gained national attention not only for the shocking nature of the murders, but also for the meticulous investigation that followed. The breakthrough in the case came from an unexpected piece of evidence, a knife sheath left behind by Kohberger. This seemingly small oversight would become crucial in linking him to the crime scene through trace DNA evidence. Investigators also relied heavily on testimony from surviving witnesses, including roommates who encountered Kohberger during the aftermath. What makes the case even more chilling is Kohberger's behavior following the murders. He left the scene but was reportedly seen by one of the surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen, who would later provide critical eyewitness testimony. The combination of physical evidence and eyewitness accounts ultimately led Kohberger to accept a guilty plea for all 4 murders. In exchange for avoiding the death penalty, he confessed in court to each of the killings, a decision that ensured he would serve life sentences without parole. The newly unsealed filings also provide insights into how investigators reconstructed the crime scene. The spread of blood across Gone Calve's pillow was a key factor in positing that the bodies were posed. Dr. Turvey and other experts examined autopsy reports and crime scene photos to understand the sequence of movements and attacks. Such detailed analysis is critical in cases where the actions of the perpetrator after the fact may indicate intent, motive, or psychological state. While the prosecution emphasized that the posed bodies theory was a possibility rather than a certainty, it does offer a glimpse into the disturbing psychology behind the attack. Moving the victims after death suggests an attempt to stage the scene, perhaps to send a message or to fulfill a psychological compulsion. Experts in criminal behavior note that perpetrators who manipulate crime scenes post-mortem often exhibit extreme control or derive some sense of satisfaction from these actions. The human impact of this tragedy cannot be overstated. Families and friends of the victims have been left to grapple with profound grief, anger, and confusion. The young women and men who were taken from this world were not just statistics, they were members of a close-knit community, students with hopes, dreams, and plans for the future. Their deaths prompted an outpouring of support from the University of Idaho community and beyond, with vigils, memorials, and campaigns to honor their memories. In addition to the emotional devastation, the case raised questions about campus safety, mental health, and the warning signs of violent behavior. Kohberger, who had no prior criminal record of this magnitude, was an acquaintance of the community, making the attack even more unsettling. This has led to ongoing discussions in academic circles and among law enforcement regarding preventative measures and early detection of potential threats. Another critical element in understanding this case is the legal strategy that led to Kohberger's plea deal. The deal, which spared him the death penalty, was negotiated amidst a complex investigation with multiple lines of evidence. Defense and prosecution experts debated the interpretation of forensic details, including whether the positioning of the bodies indicated intent or was simply a byproduct of the attack. Ultimately, the plea allowed for a resolution that brought some measure of closure to the families while avoiding the uncertainties of a protracted trial. Forensic experts, including Dr. Turvey, played a central role in analyzing the crime scene and offering professional opinions on the sequence of events. These analyses go beyond the simple observation of wounds. They consider angles, force, and positioning to reconstruct how the attack unfolded. In cases like this, where multiple victims are involved and the scene is complex, expert testimony can be the difference between speculation and evidence-based conclusions. Public fascination with this case is understandable. The combination of a small town setting, young victims, and the methodical nature of the crimes captures attention and raises questions about human behavior, violence, and justice. It also highlights the challenges investigators face in piecing together events from a crime scene that is both chaotic and deliberately manipulated. As of now, Kohberger is serving his sentence and will spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. The resolution of this case, while legally conclusive, leaves lingering questions about motive, psychological state, and the broader societal factors that contribute to such acts of violence. Criminal psychologists and law enforcement continue to study the case as an example of extreme, premeditated behavior and the methods used to reconstruct complex crime scenes. The lasting impact on the University of Idaho and the families involved continues to be profound. Memorials and scholarships have been established in honor of the victims, ensuring that their names and memories endure. Community initiatives focus on safety, support for survivors, and awareness of violent behavior patterns. These efforts aim to transform tragedy into lessons that may prevent future incidents. It is also a reminder of the role of forensic science in modern criminal investigations. DNA evidence, crime scene reconstruction, autopsy analysis, and expert testimony are all vital tools that enable law enforcement to bring perpetrators to justice. Without meticulous attention to detail, critical evidence like the knife sheath might have been overlooked, potentially delaying justice for months or years. The gruesome details of this case serve as a stark warning of the capacity for human violence, but they also highlight the resilience of communities in the aftermath of tragedy. While the crime itself is shocking, the collective response, investigators' dedication, public vigilance, and family advocacy demonstrates the power of perseverance in seeking justice. In the end, the story of Bryan Kohberger and the University of Idaho murders is one of both horror and human endurance. The posed bodies of Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogan symbolize the disturbing depth of the crime, while the resolution through the justice system reflects the tireless work of law enforcement, forensic experts, and the legal system. As communities remember the victims, they also honor the pursuit of truth, accountability, and closure, ensuring that even in the darkest moments, justice prevails. This case will be studied for years to come, not just for its shocking acts but for the insights it provides into criminal psychology, forensic investigation, and the societal impact of violent crime. It serves as a reminder that even in a world that often feels safe and familiar, the capacity for human tragedy exists, and that vigilance, empathy, and dedication are essential in responding to it. For anyone following true crime stories, this case underscores the importance of paying attention to details, understanding the motives behind actions, and appreciating the profound effects such events have on families and communities alike. While the events of that night in Moscow, Idaho, were horrific, the perseverance of those seeking justice ensures that the victims' stories will not be forgotten, and their legacies will continue to influence discussions about safety, law enforcement, and criminal behavior.